chatter group, and our YouTube channel where all our meeting recordings are posted. So chatter group is where you can ask us some questions and just ask about anything you feel like to ask from our group. And so what's coming up in the ecosystem? We have Agent Force nonprofit community sprint on from December 10th to 12th. There's a workshop on 10th, and then there's followed by the sprint on 11th and 12th. So we'll be going because all of us are deeply into nonprofits, and it's going to be mostly agent force focused, AI focused. So it's very interesting. Then we have a lot of holiday parties coming up in December. There is annual Bay Area Trailblazers joint holiday party on December 10th. So we'll be joining the party right after the workshop. So if you want to join us, it would be great. We have our own San Ramon holiday party on December 18th, and so you will hear about it through the event page. And this includes food and clothing donation drive, so save the date for this. And these are the upcoming community conferences. There's North Africa Dreaming, there's French Touch Dreaming, there's Architect Dreaming, there's Cactus Force. So are you, Joey, going to be a part of any of these community conferences or?
Uh, Actually, I'll be in the Philippines because it's actually overlapping on some of it. Especially Architect and Cactus Force. I've been wanting to go there for years, and the Philippine community needs me there. So
Yeah.
it's usually happening around the same time. Ours is actually on the 23rd and 24th. So
Okay. Yeah. So this is a icebreaker question. Which channels have you joined, and which ones you find useful? So I'm talking about this Agent Blazer community channel. Uh, I think you should all join that because now you know how everything is agent focused, AI focused. So join this community for getting all kinds of tips and tricks on how to, and resources and articles and everything, like ask me anything type of channel for Agent Blazer community. So which other Slack channel have you joined and you find useful? Can someone chime in? Joey, what is your favorite?
I'd say I'm part of quite a lot, depending on what your role is. I'm also part of the Architect Ohana. You see so many CTAs or aspiring CTAs there. So if you have a tough question or large scale problem, those are some of the first places I would check. And you have your Ohana Slack. There, depending on what you do, let's say I am also part of the MuleSoft community, so there's also that. And for partners, they have all. Honestly, I have quite a lot of Slack
Agreed.
and it's quite hard to keep up. But at the same time, I'm sure there's going to be a place for you depending on your role. I'm just not sure there in the US if there's any specific US focused one. I know there's some in Asia Pacific. That's, let's say, for ANZ, there's one.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, we have Kind Cause Slack, we have Trailblazer Community Slack, we have Partner Community, um, and we have Workforce Partners, we have that Slack. So, like Joey correctly said, it depends on what you are immersed in. Partner community everywhere, so you get all the updates, all the ways you can benefit from that community. So it's good to join the Slack channels of your interest. Anyone else wants to chime in or contribute with on this? Craig, do you want to let us know what's your favorite Slack channel?
Gosh, I don't use a lot of Slack. I I found that the Slacks for some of the Dreamin' conferences are good, like Todd Dreamin'.
Oh yeah.
People will post in there sometimes, even though like it's not conference time. I don't know if this is off topic, but I follow the I think it's called SFXD Discord channel. And
Oh,
they post a lot. They post about like the release notes and stuff, and it's pretty useful.
oh, I that has escaped me, so I will definitely, try to see that. Thank you so much for that. Anyone else wants to chime in on this? Okay, since nobody else has many inputs on this, we'll move on. So let's start the presentation. I'm excited to invite Joey Chan. He's Salesforce MVP, MuleSoft ambassador, and we are so excited and honored to have him here in our San Ramon group. Joey, please take it away with your presentation on build connected apps for admins, and please also introduce yourself. Thank
Yep.
you.
Hello. You might need to assign presentation privilege. I don't have the option right now.
Oh, I see. Can you check now?
There you go.
Just 1 second. It might be loading up, and I'll do that for Sam too.
Mm, so far, none yet.
Okay,
Try
I'll
to
stop sharing.
There you go. Right.
Yeah,
Can you hear me now? Right,
yeah.
good everyone. First of all, thank you, Shiba and the Tukral family for this privilege to be able to present to the San Ramon group there in California. So I'm Joey Chan. This is a presentation that I presented along with the co-speaker Andrew Shanks called Build Connected Apps for Admins. So a bit more about myself. I'm a proud husband and father to 8 and 5-year-old girls. I'm also the founder of Cloud Jedi Solutions. We primarily focus on Salesforce Core and MuleSoft. I'm also Salesforce MVP and MuleSoft ambassador. And when the previous architect team was there, I'm also one of the well-architected ambassador. What we do is we actually do quite a number of workshops during Dreamforce, and I've also been doing that all around the world. I'm also one of the organizers for Philippine Dreamin'. I know it's quite far for many of you, but just in case this is something that you'd consider. So Philippines Dreamin' is happening on January 23 and 24 next year. And then I also enjoy CrossFit whenever I'm free. So, all right. So with that, the question is, what is MuleSoft for Flow integration? This actually an interesting product, mainly because people can get confused whenever people think about MuleSoft, right? There's always that thinking, hey, it's a complex product, especially for admins, right? Uh, Typical stigma is that I don't want to touch that, right? So the goal for me today is really just to give an idea on what it is and how it can actually help admins. All right. So what is MuleSoft for Flow? Think about your standard Salesforce flow builder, right? It's basically no code, clicks based interface. And what's interesting here is that it actually lives all inside the Salesforce platform. So meaning it's actually leveraging the same platform that the flow builder is on. So this is especially beneficial for those companies that have specific requirements in terms of data itself, where the data is residing. And um, this is something that Salesforce is actually investing a lot of time on. Some of you may be familiar with what we call MuleSoft Composer. I'll talk about that later. But we actually have way more pre-built connectors with MuleSoft for Flow integration. And at the same time, the goal is to actually empower the admins to be able to build integrations on their own. With that, I'll talk about some of the other use cases in terms of uh, options, not just the MuleSoft uh, for flows, but also including the other comparison that you may potentially use before I go through the demo. So in a way, right now, there's still three options if you think about, let's say, as an admin, in terms of being able to create integrations within the Salesforce platform. You used to have MuleSoft Composer. Take note, this is a product that's now what we call end of sale, meaning companies still can use it if they already have it, but Salesforce is no longer selling it actively. What's interesting about this is that it's actually using this MuleSoft platform to run it. So meaning if you have Salesforce, right? So whenever you need to run integrations, automations, it's still sending the data outside Salesforce. But with MuleSoft Workflow integration, like I mentioned earlier, it's all built in inside the platform. And of course, you still have your HTTP call out. You can definitely use it for your simpler use cases. But at the same time, it doesn't have like built-in connectors that allow you to create integrations as easy as possible. And just a quick demo. So this is the video that we presented in Dreamforce. So this one is just a sample scenario wherein we have financial tech company with two org, sales and service, and one of the use case there is being able to send data between two orgs or more. So in this case, these are orgs are silos and they currently do not talk to each other. You can imagine having to sync data, right? And in this case, for this specific demo, we want the billing address to sync whenever we update or create it. So we have the sales account, and then take note this specific scenario. What's interesting is there are some orgs that's really separate, right? And depending on business use case, um, it's actually something that's quite common than we think, especially for large organizations. So we also want to send the custom field on account, sales org ID and service org ID. So this is just a quick demo of how we build the connection. So technically, all we have to do is to really tell it to log in. So there you go. So first is we're connecting to Salesforce in this case. The main thing we need is actually the domain. You'll notice this is as simple as it gets in terms of being able to connect with another system. And then for our actual implementation, so this is an example wherein within Salesforce, we can actually listen for something happening outside Salesforce. So this is something that HTTP connector cannot do. And the nice thing about this is being able to detect changes, not just Salesforce. And there are also other applications that you can detect changes to. For example, if you want something happening in Jira and you want, let's say, a case to be created in Salesforce, that's also possible. So there's this new option called external system change trigger flow. Take note, this is something that you would have, assuming you have the package for MuleSoft. All right. So I'll play this.
Not sure my computer is getting the calls.
Yeah. All right. All good. All right. So in this case, what you'll notice is that you have options for polling. So unlike platform events, this is actually using polling mechanism. You could tell it, okay, every minute or every 5 minutes, you could actually be checking a third party to be able to see changes whenever there's something new or updated records. In this case, we're trying to detect, are there any new accounts here? You could also create filters. So you'll notice we have this demo wherein we're checking if we have a matching account before we create a new one. We're filling in the details from the event itself, meaning from the third party. All right. This is just a quick demo because we presented this in Dreamforce with just 20 minutes, but I'll actually be doing a quick real demo. So for this one, I'll just do something simple wherein we want to be able to detect changes on another system, in this case, Salesforce. What I'd like to actually go through is that the amount of information that we can actually detect. For example, we can now listen for changes in NetSuite, changes in Jira, QuickBooks, Salesforce, Zendesk. These are all of the supported events for the external change triggered flow. In this case, I'll just use Salesforce whenever a new record is created. So what it's doing is that it's allowing me to select the connection. In this case, just for demo purposes, I'm just using the dev org. So from here, we can tell it, okay, I want to do this every minute. And then we can then define, do we want a specific object? So let's say count. From here is then checking what are the fields that we'd like to get. So it's already connecting to that system. So in this case, we could check for account name and maybe the type, for example. I'll just keep it simple for demo purposes since we only have a short time. So in this case, we could tell it, okay, I only want the data if it has a type of, let's say, customer. And then from here, we can save, let me save it. Demo. From here, the question is, what do we want to happen whenever we have this specific record, right? Let me just quickly check, just to make sure. When I click, we have the customer asset type. All right. So from here, we can then create an action or create a record. Let me just show you different actions too. So from here, what you'll notice is that we still have the standard actions. So these are different actions that's already available. But once you have the either the credits, what we'll talk about the credits later, but we have this option of connectors. Take note, this actually grew in numbers. Now we have, I think, over 1,000. So right now we have over 1,000 actions that you can take. So you can actually connect to quite a lot of different systems. For example, we do have use cases wherein we're connecting to Zendesk or Zora. This is something that you can actually use. So it also has different capabilities for you to be able to, for example, connect with Google Calendar. Let's say for service use cases, you could actually, for example, send a automatic calendar invite to someone, or it could also be detecting changes in Calendly, or so you could create a schedule from here. So you'll notice there's actually quite a lot of options here. Um, for the purpose of demo, I'll just go through the self create an action here. create records. So create account. Take note, what we've been doing here is that if when we create a new record in the dev org, we want it to be created here in Salesforce. So in this case, we'll get the account name. Name. We'll also add the type. From here. All right, I'll go ahead and save this. Let's check. Delete this. This is something really simple for you to be able to visualize what it looks like. From here, let's just do a quick debug so we can run it. So it's now waiting for a system change. It means it's listening on the other org. So I'll go ahead and test San Ramon. From here, I'll go ahead and create type customer. And let's just check. Let's see. Cannot coerce. Hold on, let me check. We'll have to debug it in real time every minute. So let's see. Let's do this again. Event, object type, and type. Let me check what's up here. This is the issue with that live demos, right? Let's go ahead and create a new one. I'll have to check this first though. Cannot coerce. Type ID string. Let me review one first, but let's check a demo that I gave before. I'll need to debug this further. This is something similar, wherein we're detecting changes every 5 minutes. Still loading. Demo account, and then here. So in this case, we're just manually setting the account name. Hold on, let me check this. Let me take out the type first. Should be similar. Event object type is name. Let me try to run this again. Didn't want to give up here. I'll go ahead and run. And then let's see if this one succeeds. It's quite slow. This is something that happens whenever we're going through the live demo. Hold on.
Yeah, we appreciate your, you know,
Anyway,
do it.
we can go through this later on, but basically, just showing you how it is to actually build this specific integration. So I've actually tried it earlier today. It's actually working fine before this. So I'm wondering what's up here. Let me try to refresh. We'll try it one last time and then we can go through the others first. But you'll notice it's quite fast to be able to create these, right? So San Ramon demo from here. Should be good though. Account name, debug, run. Let's see. Would that trigger? Anyway, let's get back to this. Let's see if it throws an error later on. I just wanted to make sure I continue with the presentation here. There's still a lot of considerations here. All right. So the main thing that you'd also want to know about is what are the different limitations, right? So during our testing, take note this is still a new product, it's still a work in progress. And one of the things that we've noticed is that whenever you're using the external system change triggered flow, it allows or shows custom field. But if you're talking about external connector element, meaning you're taking an action on third-party systems, it currently does not show custom fields. I believe they're still working on it in terms of capability to allow you as admins to be able to easily do that. I think the challenge here is that since it's actually able to connect to multiple different systems, it's not able to do that yet. And then in terms of the layout functionality for flows, it's only auto layout. If you're used to using freeform in the flow builder, you won't be able to use that. And then we also have the capability to change the connection. Normally, once you set the connection, that's it, right? You don't have to worry about that. But if you need to delete or edit an existing connection, you have to do that in automation app. And then in terms of app connectors and external system change automations, so we actually have quite a lot. I did show you quite a number of it already. And some of the use cases here are, for example, org-to-org integration. And later on, Sam will actually be demoing his own product in terms of how you can actually do that. But this is another options for admins to be able to create that connection. But one of the biggest difference too is that we have quite a lot of capabilities. Like for example, you can connect it with Google Sheets. You can actually connect with Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Calendly. So these are all different pre-built connectors. So if you imagine it, what's interesting here is that many of you are already quite familiar with building using the Flow Builder, right? So this is actually enhancing that capability. You don't necessarily need to have another system to be able to manage those integration, and it can actually be just another action as a part of your multi-step flows. And the question is, how do you get access? Unfortunately, this is not included for free. So this is something that you could either get access using the MuleSoft integration SKU or the MuleSoft automation SKU. And there's a new SKU called MuleSoft for Flow integration only for the companies that want to get credits to be able to use MuleSoft for Flow integration, but not necessarily buy the whole MuleSoft platform. All right. For those that already have MuleSoft Anypoint platform, why would we still want to do this, right? In most cases, I'll actually talk about that later on. But the the key use case here is actually understanding that, okay, for the companies that can use MuleSoft, it, most of the IT team is actually quite bogged down. That's why we actually have these products that would empower the admins to be able to create simpler integrations. If you have something really complex wherein you need to go through a lot of data, let's say hundreds, if not millions of records, that's not something that you would want to be using this tool. That's something to be handled by the Anypoint platform. And with that, just for you to be able to give an idea in terms of how to decide between these different options, you use MuleSoft Anypoint platform if you have complex integration needs. Talk about large data volumes. If you have any specific requirements in terms of reliability, let's say if one of the systems goes down, what do you do? And if you need to connect with legacy systems, um, uh, let's say apps that doesn't have an existing connectors, you'd have to be able to use the Anypoint platform. For MuleSoft workflow integration, as I mentioned, it's really to empower admins, consultants to be able to create automations without necessarily having development skills. So in a way, it's all drag and drop and allowing you to be able to create integrations on your own. So this is also beneficial if you already have an existing MuleSoft in your company. It actually is a part already of the package. And of course, you still can use HTTP callouts. This is something, of course, included for free. There's no additional cost for this. And MuleSoft Composer is actually no longer recommended. So keep in mind, it's already at end of sale. It's been a year since the last update for this. So this is something that we don't recommend anymore if you're starting new. All right. And next step for many of you, what I encourage you is basically review existing connectors first. Is this something that you could be using? And if ever, plan on how your organization can benefit for more integrations. All right. With that, feel free to join the Yoso community. This is something that you'd learn more if you want to create integrations. So there's Andrew Shanks here. He's actually my co-speaker during Dreamforce. All right. With that, that's it for me. Any questions? Just an update. For some reason, it's still listening.
Questions? Anybody?
It's checking with people here. Krish probably has it.
What was the flow doing? What is that? What was the flow doing in the? You could ask him. Yeah.
Hi, Joey. So I was just wondering, like, so it was like a org to org connection. So when you create a account on the the second org or something, what happens?
So you have an option of doing whatever you want with it. So basically, it will listen to that. So within your flow, in this case, I was trying to demo just the creation within that same account. So imagine you have your, I'd say, main account, and then if you want to listen to different works happening, and then you can then create flows or create automations based on that.
And what's some use cases that you would think of for this, like for like sales reps or like some sales account manager, like say like you have a bunch of sales reps that are creating different accounts or something, that like you have a high value account or something.
There are, for example, one use case for this is, for example, there are companies that are acquiring smaller firms that have their Salesforce instance. So I've actually seen this happen wherein they don't necessarily intend to merge everyone at the same time, but they want to be able to share leads.
Got it.
So
Makes sense.
those are potential use cases for that. Keep in mind, of course, this is something that if you have large data sets, I'd actually recommend like taking a look at other tools first because it can get quite expensive if you keep on using that because it's actually using also of automation credits.
But it's basically like any like multi-org setup, and then you would probably use something like this as an easy
Yep.
pre-built solution.
Right. Especially if something that doesn't isn't that complicated. Although I mean you could make really complicated flows, right? What's interesting here is that you may have, let's say, 20-step flow, and you could actually put it as part of that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
It's
that's
give
our
you pretty advanced business logic without coding in
yes.
Apex or anything,
Yep.
which is pretty awesome.
Mhm.
And when was this product released? Was this released
I'd say it's only this year,
within
actually.
this year, right?
Yeah.
Because you also
Yes, it's very
yeah, very
That's
cool.
why there's still some gaps, to be honest. I've been trying it out, and what's interesting is they're actually creating quite a lot of new connectors. That's what they're focusing on and keeping the products. And basically, they stop developing the MuleSoft Composer to be able to allocate the resources here.
And what were your top integrations you've used? Because you're a MuleSoft consultant, right? So,
Mhm.
or like you were talking about Zora, Zendesk, and other things. Was it like are those big ones or?
I'd say those are the most commons, at least for the projects that we work on. Although we also integrate quite, if you're talking about the AnyPoint platform, we do integrate a lot with homegrown systems. So these are systems in-house by their own IT team.
Oh, like
But
in yeah.
yes,
Okay.
meaning that it's not a public API. So that's where we would be using that a lot more.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Thanks for answering my questions.
I can ask a couple of questions.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Any other questions?
Yeah, why not? Joey, you're there. Why not? A couple of questions too.
Yeah.
When it's like org, right? Because now the data cloud, like we're just talking internally over here too, right? The data cloud is kind of free, kind of like you can transfer the data between orgs. Data cloud is the best one. You can still use data cloud for between, at least for the use case that you showed right now,
Mhm.
or transferring the leads, maybe, or what it is, or maybe not.
Um,
Yep.
haven't I know Salesforce is actually actively promoting Data Cloud a lot. Although personally, I haven't really been exploring Data Cloud as much, mainly because the customer base that we serve right now doesn't make sense for them. But if you're talking about large amounts of data, you could be exploring Data Cloud too. Yes, that's another option. Um, what I'm referring to, at least for this specific news or for flow, is if you have multiple different business logic and you want to be able that integrate as a part of that.
But I
So
guess
this
this is
just
like if you have data cloud to sync the data and you bring it in to that data cloud instance, then you can create flows off of that, right? Probably like that's a different architecture, right?
yes, I'd say it's of course more complex depending on the
Yeah.
capability of the admins. So that's something that you could also explore. Yes, those are definitely possible, but it's really understanding what you're trying to do
Yes, that's
and
true.
there just knowing the options, right? And when to use what.
Yeah, but this is like more. It's
The
more for
concept
the.
is like you're leaving the data in the other
Yes, that's right.
system, and then you don't have to bring it in to
Mhm.
like a data warehouse solution or something. Right?
Zero copy, right? We don't zero copy. In that case, data cloud zero copy. In this case, is you're pulling the data in over here, right?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like awesome. Oh yeah, do you know the license cost of this?
Is it?
Because you're
Uh, it,
SKU, right?
it's
And then I don't know how.
in terms of pricing, it's mostly indicative. I don't know. I think it starts at 40, 50,000, so it can still be
Okay.
expensive. So
It's only for the enterprise level kind of thing, right? So.
yes,
That's like, so you can't really do this at the lower license types. This
It's a separate SKU though. So meaning you have to buy the credits. So
ah
it's really more for honestly medium to large right now. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for, let's say, nonprofits, smaller orgs.
got
It,
it.
they're trying to it's
Consumption based.
positioned as a premium product.
Yeah,
Is that-
this
That's
is consumption based, right? MuleSoft is consumption based.
yes, it is.
And okay. Any other alternatives that are there? The cheaper? I know they'll be talking more. Sam will be talking more about it too, I guess. So,
Yes, yes.
any other cheaper options that we have?
I'd say if you're talking about, let's say, nonprofits, smaller orgs, I've actually personally used Zapier. N8N is something that I'm playing around with a lot. Um, if you've heard of Make.com, those
Yes.
are some of the, let's say, much more
Have you
affordable options.
used NAN and Zapier, right?
And
And
make-
how does that compare to MuleSoft? Like for smaller orgs, like does that work? Like are you able to like what's an example any end workflow you've done?
Most of the time, it's really just connecting to Salesforce, and then there's actually one use case that we're working on right now, wherein we have one main org that
Yeah.
we basically don't access in a way. So we're just basically users, but um, so imagine this. This is a regional company based in Asia, and they're basically letting us use that instance, and we do have API access. So they won't allow us to create automations directly. So
Okay.
meaning this org is actually for regional, meaning it affects Philippines and several other countries within Southeast Asia. But we're
Mhm.
only basically using that because we're required by the company. And then one of the use case that we have is, okay, can we still create connection and automation, but using N8N? Because we are not allowed to create flows directly there because that would affect all their other customers.
So what kind of business logic can you do with any, and like can you, is it's probably not to the same detail of flows in Salesforce, right? So like
Um, Actually, you could do a lot.
it's,
So
it's you leveraging the Salesforce APIs essentially. So you can do like
yes, you
you
are.
can do like create like you can do like trigger type of functionality, which is
Yes.
quite a lot.
I did check. It doesn't have capability to listen for platform events yet. So similar to MuleSoft for Flow, it can only listen. In a
So
way, it's pulling the data. We're
it's like
checking every
polling.
5 minutes.
Got it. Yeah, it's like a polling thing. So it's like
Yes,
once every minute you're running this or
yes.
right.
So it's a lot different from how we should have it now, right? So for MuleSoft for Flow doesn't have that event-based capability yet in terms of listening for events. But if you're talking about MuleSoft Anypoint platform, that's the one that has the capability to